Hello students, welcome to online class. This is class 9 social study history chapter number 1. The name of chapter, the French Revolution. Students, we will study about the French story regarding the revolution which was took place at the contemporary period. So before starting this chapter, I would like to show you map of Europe. Let's see. This is the map of Europe. Have you seen? This the whole map is map of Europe. Okay. Where is France situated? France is situated here. This is France. This is Germany. This is Spain, Italy, England, Ireland, Poland, Romania, like this. Okay. So all these maps, all the countries of European countries are situated like this. Okay. So we will study about France. French Revolution took place here, France. Okay. So let's start. Students, we will study about French society during the late 18th century. The French Revolution is a landmark in the history of Europe and the world. It is well known that it ended the monarchical system in Europe. As we know that the slogan of French Revolution, liberty, equality, freedom, became independent ideas of the new era. So, if we talk about the French society during the late 18th century, in 1774, 20 years old Louis XVI, the Bourbon family, became the King of France. Louis XVI became the King of France. In which period? It was the time of 1774. So, what happened at that time where French Revolution took place? What was the reason hidden behind that? So, as we know that in 1774, Louis XVI became the king. When he became the King of France, he had to struggle for the treasury. When he became the king, the treasury of France got empty. So, we will study about the whole story of France. Austrian Princess Marie Antoinette was the wife of Louis XVI. Which country she belonged to? Austria-Hungary. Yes, she belonged to Austria-Hungary. Okay. So at that time, situation was very miserable because of the lack of treasury. Due to the what was the reason hidden behind that? Why Louis XVI had to face such type of problem? Actually, the main reason is that due to the long years of war and maintenance of the extravagant court at the place, he got an empty treasury. Okay, Louis XVI helped 13 American colonies to gain independence from the Britain, because Britain also captured American countries. Okay. Under this situation of French country, there was added the debt of more than 2 billion livres. So, what happened at that time? when France was involved in the war, it became debt of more than 2 billion livres. Landlords began to charge 10% interest on loan. So this was the situation of France was very critical. To meet expenses like maintenance of army and port, etc., they had to impose tax. So that's why French government started increasing the tax over the third estate. In the situation, the third estate increased the taxes. Only the third estate had to pay taxes. On the other hand, the first estate and the other estate were exempted from paying tax. The third estate of France at that time was the situation of overall the story in French society was like that. French society during the late 18th century, society was divided into three groups. First is the first estate. First estate is known as clergy. First estate belong to clergy people. Okay. Second estate nobility people, and the third estate belong to common man. So in the first estate, clergy, that means people of church, they had imposed many taxes over the third estate. Church people imposed tax from the third estate based on agricultural product. Second estate belong to the nobility. Nobility means under this category, rich people comes and kings or queens relationships belong there. Under the third estate, common man comes. Common man, big businessman, lawyer, teacher, doctor, merchants, etc. came under this category. So society was divided into three groups during the 18th century. People of France was not satisfied with the monarchy system. Okay, so that's why they had to struggle to survive. People of France were not interested to monarchy system. They wanted to establish democracy. For that, to attain the democracy in their country, they had to struggle very hard. So the struggle to survive, it was the very critical time when the people of France, especially the third estate people, third estate, that means common people, had to suffer to survive. It was the time when 1715 to 1789, the population was increased. When population increased, then demand of food grain also increased, and the monarchy system did not have the capacity to fulfill their demand of food grains. So that's why people of France were dissatisfied with the government of France. This situation was very critical situation at that time. Slowly and slowly time were passing, and situation become very worse at that time. Next is emergence of middle class. What is emergence of middle class? It is the time of 18th century a new social group emerged who were known as the middle class. They had become the rich by the business, trade. People belong to the middle class. They earn more money through their business. Under this situation, they become very rich and they got new ideas also in them. What was the major ideas of the common people at that time for establishment of the democracy? It was freedom, liberty, and equality. Next is philosophers like John Locke, Jean Jacques. Some philosophers of the France played very important role to bring French Revolution. They created such situation for the revolution. The struggle was going on because of these philosophers' activity. At that time, the situation was not favorable to fulfill their demand. That's why people become angry and they wanted freedom. They want to get rid of democracy. This situation created subsistence crisis. Subsistence crisis means people had not sufficient food to survive. People started living starved. So these were the situations created at that time. We are talking about the ideas of the philosophers. The important philosophers like John Locke. John Locke, Two Treatises of Government. It is his major book, very important book. Under this book, he criticized the concept of the absolute right of the monarch. According to his views, there should be no absolute right should be given to the monarchy. That means his opinion that there should be complete evolution of monarchy system, and in place of monarchy there should be established democracy. It is the view of John Locke. Okay. Next is Montesquieu. Montesquieu also very popular and very famous and dynamic personality at that time. He wrote The Social Contract. It is his famous book. The Spirit of Laws, Separation of Power. His under this in his book The Social Contract, he described the separation of power. So what is the separation of power? It means the power should be divided into legislature, executive and judiciary. So why he wanted to establish such type of power? Because monarchy system was ruling at that time, and the entire power of the country consisted in them. So on that condition, if separation of power will be created, then the power of the monarchy will be separated between legislature, executive or judiciary. So in this way, the power of the monarchy system will be reduced. So overall, the story of French Revolution regarding regarding the French society during the late 18th century, we have discussed here in this video, and we will complete the next topic next video. So till then, you will have to read this chapter what I have just gone through here, and we will meet you next day with new topic. Thank you very much.